2018 has come to an end, and hopefully the bear market too. It is now a time to reflect and think about the year ahead. So, we decided to ask some crypto experts about the year in crypto and what to expect in 2019. Roger Ver, Tony Vase, Jimmy Song, Paul Veritacket, and the Bitcoin Dad all gave us their 2018 takeaways and projections for the coming year.
This whole year has been sort of a pretty tough bear market, and I sort of expect next year to be a bear market for a while too. Maybe a price increase toward the end, but nevertheless, we shouldn't expect anything for a bit of time. One event that is really positive and one event that is sort of a sign of reality. I think one significant event was basically back announcing that they are launching and what they are doing. I think that is significant because, again, if we want to see price increase, I think institutions are going to be a huge part of that.
I think the biggest event for 2018 has to be the declining price of not only Bitcoin, but the entire space of the crypto assets. To me, this is significantly different than what happened back in 2014 or 15. I believe that this time around, the altcoin bubble will not return. I think that's going to be the big difference. I think that the most critical event is the fact that this was the altcoin bubble. I don't expect the altcoins to come back. There were other smaller events like the implosion of the Bitcoin Cash, or as I like to call it, the Bcash split, that showed how irrelevant those altcoins are. And so to me, that was it's a good thing. I'm really enjoying this year, 2018, for the implosion of the altcoin space.
Hate to say the bear market, because that's pretty much what 2018 has been for the most part. I think it's been, a healthy correction. It still hurt everybody that, was on board in 2017 going into 2018. But, I think it was needed to kind of, pull back a little bit and gather itself again, before we kind of, move into 2019 and 2020, which I think will be pretty bullish.
I would say it was the bear market itself. The fact that a lot of crappy projects have been kind of flushed out of the system, or they're currently in their death throes. That is very significant because there's been a lot of malinvestment in this space, and getting those out of this economy is a very good thing because it allows for investment in the things that are actually winning. I think the 10th anniversary is significant because that means that Bitcoin has been around for 10 years. There's some credible scarcity to Bitcoin that I think people underestimate sometimes. Like having something proven over time is a very, very good thing. And more people will come in for that reason. If something's like 2 or 3 years old, it's less. It's not as easy to trust it as if it's like 10 years old because it's been through a lot.
The correction as a whole, and people start to realize that the market doesn't only go up; it can go up and down. And I think people realize that the long-term vision is to make cryptocurrencies usable as currencies, and that's what drives the long-term price.
I'm bullish overall. So, I would like to say this is the bottom. I'm still a little skeptical, but I feel 2019 and going into 2020 before the halving again, I only see upside at this point.
I think we need to fall further. I think you need real capitulation. I think you need a lot of the malinvestments in ICOs and altcoins to really, make it possible so that nothing is these projects just need to die basically because there's a lot of malinvestment, and until that malinvestment is cleared out of the system, it's still going to be you're just sort of like waiting for another bubble, another downturn in order to get rid of them. So this is what happens in any economy. You have business cycles, and during the bottom, you get rid of the inefficient and stupid projects, and that's what bear markets are for. And until the bear market has done its work, It's not really, you're either waiting for a bigger bear market later and just sort of delaying it, or like you're not really culling anything. So I don't think we've hit bottom, no.
I think we'll start seeing some scalability projects launch next year, and I think that'll be exciting. But I don't think any of them will sort of compete with Ethereum, at least in the near term. I also think that there's going to be a ton of consolidation, a lot of late stage rounds being raised by companies, and we're going to start seeing some pretty significant acquisitions from existing tech companies and banks, and then also a lot of acquihires. I also think the security token market is pretty inflated right now, and there's no infrastructure to facilitate any sort of liquidity whatsoever. So we're going to see a ton of projects getting issued, but I really don't think there's going to be much happening there next year. So I think that one is I think that was a bit overhyped, and I think we'll start seeing some governments starting to launch their own tokens. I think we're heading into basically a building and installation phase, and I think in terms of fundraising, it's going to be a really tough time for ICOs.
I think the main thing in 2019 will be the realization that Bitcoin did not die, it's not going to die, and it's going to reverse at some point in 2019. I'm starting to think it'll be more to the latter half of 2019 than the beginning of 2019. And this time around, Bitcoin will start to separate from the rest of the crypto space. So I think the marking of 2019 will be the end of the Bitcoin bear market and the start of another Bitcoin bull market, this time with side chains, with scaling, with privacy, and I can't wait.
I certainly expect a lot more companies to come around to realize like Bitcoin is where it's at. I mean, you can sort of see that already. A lot of CEOs are starting to say good things about Bitcoin as a way to sort of pivot a little bit, because they're realizing like a lot of these altcoins and ICOs are not doing so well, and any sort of bets that they placed on them have been pretty bad, and they haven't been served well by them. So I imagine this will continue through most of 2019.
I think the world it's going to see like more and more people building on top of Bitcoin, and of course, when I say Bitcoin, I mean Bitcoin Cash.
Whether Bitcoin is going to make a new all-time high, I'm not necessarily sold on that in 2019. It might not be until later in the year when it really starts to move, maybe hits the 10,000 mark and kind of goes from there. But I'm bullish overall. I mean, I think there's a lot of things in the pipeline with the possible ETF, and there's still a lot of institutional money that I think is trying to find some clarification.
I think at least in the short to medium term, it's a great time to invest into Bitcoin. There's still a strong correlation between Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies, and so I think the markets are really low. It's a great time to be buying cryptocurrencies. I do suggest buying multiple cryptocurrencies just because the market is so dynamic, and to put all your eggs in one basket is probably not a good strategy. So either investing into an index, or investing into a bunch of them that you're really passionate about, or even going through some sort of fund manager.
I am expecting lower prices. If your time horizon is at least 5 years ahead, then the best time to buy Bitcoin is always yesterday. I've had this answer for numerous years now. But if you're actually trying to time the market, and if you don't have any Bitcoin right now, then any time is a good time to buy. But if you are watching it regularly, I think buying it in the low 3,000s or below 3,000s is great. But definitely have a bunch of fiat on reserve so you can buy a slightly bigger chunk of it below 2,000. And if it ever goes below 1,500, I will try to sell whatever I have not nailed down in order to pile into it.
From a monetary perspective, I think it's still pretty clear that Bitcoin's the big winner, and almost everything else is an attempt to try to do something interesting from a centralized perspective.
Personally, I'm anti-ICO. I don't feel that that there have been some good projects that raise money, that deserve the money, but then you get everything else kind of piggybacking those, and it really got diluted. There was a lot of just dumb money being thrown at a ton of projects that are now down 95%. I personally, I am not going to be bullish on ICOs in my investment position. I'm really going to be extremely skeptical regarding that. I'm more of in favor of a proof of work type of project, something where you don't give a developer $20-30 million up front for an idea. I feel that they are more motivated by having a fair launch and moving forward with their work and interest that would be brought on due to their work and dedication to the project.
A ton of ICOs are really going to die next year. They've raised quite a bit of money, and for either regulatory reasons like basis or just bad treasury management, we're just going to see a lot of them get fleshed out even more. So I could see even the alt markets getting even worse.
I'm sure there will be some, but not nearly to the degree that we saw in 2017, 2018. I imagine most of them, like most people are kind of, jaded by ICOs in general right now. Most of them haven't delivered anything, and the few that have aren't anywhere near what they hyped it up to be. So, given those experiences, I don't think there will be nearly as many, though. Who knows? Already, ICOs are having a really tough time raising any money whatsoever. They either have to go to private investors or have to sell off a lot of the, Ethereum or whatever they raised off in order to fund their operations. Some are trying some weird models where they basically gamble with the money that they have in their treasury.
I think ICOs are going to get even more popular into the future. They're fantastic because they allow any investor to invest in any entrepreneur anywhere in the world instantly and have instant liquidity based on the token as well. So, there was a big run up last year and things cooled off a little bit, but this is something that never existed before. And the reason there was such a big giant run up is because people were realizing how useful it is. So I don't think ICOs are going to slow down in the long run. I think we're going to see that become a more and more common funding model for new and existing businesses.
All-time high would be nice, but hang in there, keep grinding. The markets aren't going to be easy. That would kind of be my advice to you guys is, don't give up. I know it's rough out there to kind of hang in there. But obviously only invest what you can lose. But be patient and hodl.
I wish that, we can all just, not focus as much on price and just really focus on building and shipping product. And I think that's what we're going to get most about this entire bear market is that, now that we're not seeing employees leaving because they can make a lot more money day trading on cryptocurrencies, we're seeing people really focused on hitting milestones and maybe even structuring transactions with investors where, money or tokens will be released when milestones are hit. But, the most important thing for me is that top talent is continuing to come into this space, and we're continuing to see a lot of the best talent in the startup ecosystem coming in, and it makes me really hopeful. So I think 2019 is going to be a huge year for us. Become
a part of your investments instead of just sort of like wishful thinking, right? Contribute to the ecosystem, and in whatever way you can. You don't have to be a developer. You can be a holder. You can be somebody that's part of the social community. But that's what's required in order to not just be gambling, but actually investing.
I wish people would actually start using cryptocurrency as currency. Use it to buy and sell things, and use it to pay other people, and use it to get paid when when people owe you money. Start actually using it as money rather than just some speculative instrument.
Cointelegraph. Like, subscribe, and hodl.